morning to all of you and welcome on our sunrise safari. My name is Jamie and this morning Craig is on camera with me and we're coming to you live from a place called Djuma Private Game Reserve, which is in the Greater Kruger National Park area of South Africa, where for the next 3 hours we will take you on a live safari experience. And because it is live, that means that you can send through your questions and you can do that using the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. One more quick look at the sunrise, because it is a very pretty one. And I will tell you that it is 14 degrees centigrade according to our weather station, which is 56 in Fahrenheit. One day I am... Oh, 57, says Kirsty now. I'm going to take that weather station and unplug it and take it on a drive with us and then see how it feels. Because it is quite a brisk morning this morning, is it not, Craig? Although Craig wandered out in a t-shirt this morning. He was wandering around camp getting his tea with a t-shirt on. Mental. I've got 3 different layers on. None of them match, but that's okay, because I'm warm. I'm going to go and check the hyena den, and then Taylor and I are going to work together to track down the lions that woke us up in the middle of the night. They roared all night, and I have a suspicion, because it's completely silent now, that they've now left us. Which I think is very rude indeed, interrupting our sleep and then disappearing. But first a quick check of the hyena den, since we're right here, and I haven't seen them in ages. Brr. Dodge icicle dip. Ah, Craig. Craig, not the cameraman Craig, but Craig, a different Craig. Craig would like to know, please answer this question, is this really live or is this pre-recorded? Craig, as you can tell, given that I'm now saying your name, this is really live. And it would probably be easier pre-recorded, because then we could control all of the variables, but it wouldn't be nearly as much fun. Definitely wouldn't be as much fun. So Craig, yes, we did have some confusion a little while ago because one of our new viewers, whom I don't think has ever returned, funnily enough, that might have been my fault, was very confused as to why we start in the dark and it gets gradually lighter. So Craig, where we are is here in South Africa, which means that it is just after 6 o'clock in the morning for us. We get up early every morning and we go to bed very early every night. It is winter here in South Africa, given that we're in the southern hemisphere, and yes, completely 100% live, which means sometimes amazing things happen, and sometimes amazing things happen. I was going to say less amazing things happen. Sometimes the bird flies away that you want to show everyone. Sometimes the animals, although they've been amazing. I couldn't believe it yesterday. You cannot understand. Before the TV show, we have this very dedicated tracking team, and they were out all of yesterday, desperately searching for something. And we just couldn't find anything. And then, as always happens, the animals just came through for us in the most spectacular kind of a way. I walked into Hosanna about an hour before we actually found him. But I gave him such a fright, and he gave me such a fright, that we both went, well, he went in an opposite direction, and I decided there was no way we could follow him. I heard Franklin's alarm calling, and I walked up through a dip. And as I got to the top, I think I was so quiet, and I think he was watching Craig in the vehicle below, that I must have nearly stepped on him, and something just exploded next to me, and went doof, 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 and disappeared down the hill. But he ended up on camera. He's looking well, if a little bit hungry, but that's okay. Hyena! Shame. Are you guys terrified from your elephant experience? Apparently Tristan said the elephants were standing on top of the den site yesterday. I wonder what hyena cubs think of that. If it's like some kind of Godzilla experience for them. Morning. Anybody home? Little heads? Any little heads? No. No little heads. Gives me a second to just ask Taylor to repeat what she just said on the Game Drive radio. Taylor? Oh, sorry, T. What Mkonzo was that? Copy whereabouts? Copy. What I'll do is I'll go Zoe's and then north on Triple M. Sorry, I'm laughing at Taylor. It's become a new game of ours. We joke about the mispronunciation of things that are said on the radio, and she just said Madoda and Gala, but Madoda and Gala tracks. So she's got tracks for a male lion. Speaking of said Taylor, she's obviously on fine form this morning, which is wonderful news. Let's go across to her so she can demonstrate that.
Well, yes, I think I'm very funny, but only I find myself funny. Good morning, everybody. And of course, a big day. Sorry about that, little gremlins, because I wasn't working away here. Let me introduce myself again. I'm Taylor. David's behind the camera. And if you watch the pre-show,
oh dear, it seems as though Taylor disappeared off your screens. Well, there you go, Craig, who was wondering if this was really live. I don't know if Craig ever responded to my answer to his question, but sometimes the gremlins just hit. It's one of those inevitabilities of a live safari. We can't control every variable, and as marvelous, whoopsie, as the technology is, sometimes things happen. It's just the price we pay for bringing you a live safari from not quite the middle of nowhere, but somewhere close by. The same neighborhood as the middle of nowhere. Oh, that is disappointing. Craig has not responded to his question about whether or not it was live or not. Craig, are you live? Are you out there? Would you like to send through a question? Because you can do that too. I mean, another question. Something about the animals, maybe. I hope Craig's got a thick skin wherever he is. Right. Alicia, good question. You want to know how do animals adjust to such swings in temperature? I guess it's just something that they're far better adapted to dealing with. A lot of them, like elephants, rhino, buffalo, their large size helps them to sort of keep the heat within them, so their heat doesn't dissipate, and it's far more important for them to keep cool than it is for them to keep warm. But when you see the impala and a lot of the other antelope, they basically changed color on mornings like this morning. They go deep red color because their coats are all fluffed up to try and trap the heat. I suppose at least they've got that layer of fur. Reptiles, of course, will go to ground, and they will, at this time of year, I would say they're estivating because of the dry, which is like hibernating, but just because it gets drier. But that doesn't seem to be the case, because so much for our dry season, as it poured with rain yesterday. I think it's something that TV seems to bring on. I think we should do more TV shows because it seems to bring the rain. In fact, anyone who's only ever watched the TV shows might be convinced that it only ever rains here. And then birds sometimes die in cold snaps. And there are certain animals that are particularly sensitive to changes in temperature. Eland are one of them. We don't see eland here. They do occur in the reserve, up towards the northern sections of Kruger. Eland get pneumonia. Elephants. I can hear elephants trumpeting away. I might change my route. I'll go back that way in a bit. And warthog as well, particularly warthog piglets. Okay, well, it seems as though Taylor's found some signal. Let's try again that she can say good morning to you.
we're back. should we try this again, David? Okay, well, that's David behind the camera. You can't see him, but you can see his thumb. I'm Taylor. And hopefully we're not going to have any more gremlins attacking us. If you're wondering what gremlins are, of course, it's a term of endearment, I suppose you could say. No, endearment's a strong word when we have a couple of technical issues, because like we said before, this is live and interactive. We're broadcasting from the middle of nowhere, so sometimes these things happen. But we're on the longest, windiest road that we have on the property that seems to never end. I don't think it does end. It goes all the way to Kruger. And hopefully, as we go up and down over some of these hills, we'll get a beautiful view of the sunrise. But if you do have any questions for us this morning, don't hesitate to ask them. Hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. That is the only way to get hold of us. And as I was going to try and tell you earlier, we're trying to search for some lions. We've had tracks of male lions, going up towards camp, but I didn't see any at camp, which is a little bit on the disappointing side. And the last call that I did hear this morning from a big male lion must have been at about 4 o'clock or just before 4 o'clock, and that sounded quite far south. So I think between Jamie and Rexon, they'll be able to get down to the southern boundary and just confirm if they have crossed out or not. Their normal route is to either come from the north and then go straight south, sort of crossing out around Weaver's Nest, sometimes even Twin Dams. So we'll just have to wait and see. Let's keep our fingers crossed that we'll be able to catch them in time. Otherwise, we're going to see if we can't catch any of the other lions that use a sneaky route. They sometimes come from the east and then go all the way down Cheetah Cut Line, which is our most eastern boundary. Darby's confirming. He's just giving me a thumbs up, just reminding me that I do know which direction I'm talking about. Took me a while, but I got there in the end. Okay, let's see. Come on, animals. Where's the little daycare? We had a daycare the last time I drove this road in the morning, where there was lots of little antelope lurking along the sidelines, but not today. Perhaps, like Jamie said, it's a bit too chilly for them. Maybe they're also still just not Netflixing and chill. Who knows? I don't know what the animals do when it's cold. Let's have a look. Who's been causing all these footprints? Oh, zebra. I have to get out and inspect. Right, let's put this so David, you don't roll away. To unplug myself now. There's a process, you see. Okay, yes, we've got zebra tracks. That's nice. We haven't seen zebra in quite some time. And it looks like it's an entire herd that's been walking through here, because there's big tracks, especially if you look over here. Actually, if you look over here, these tracks all look like they're the same size. And there's definitely a couple of smaller ones, which is quite nice. Now, some of them are rolling up on the road above, that they've definitely come from the east coming back this way. But where do they go? Because their tracks just sort of disappear. We didn't see them over there. They must have either gone down here or perhaps gone into Bushwalk. But we'll come and search that a little bit later. Let's do the boundary patrol very quickly. They're very important to, of course, do. Let me get plugged in. There. Now I'm in. Because it's still nice and cold, it's a great time for these animals to keep moving, the big cats. Hello, Lady Starfire, mother of my favorite little girl in the entire world, Tesla. What should we call Tesla? She's sort of my advisor, isn't she? A chief advisor, perhaps. She gives me advice. She tells me when I'm breathing too much, and and when I mustn't be nervous. It's quite wonderful. So you were wondering, when are the zebra coming back? Maybe today. Maybe today is the day. Perhaps they knew that this afternoon it was my chance for TV, and they're on their way back towards quarantine. Maybe in hair and makeup. I'm not sure. We'll just have to wait and see. But once we've done a quick loop around here, what I will do is I'll come back to these tracks, because those zebra tracks are actually still coming along the road now as we speak. So they could have gone to maybe down Gallagher Road towards Mvubu Road. So we'll go check around Weirtiller Dam. So keep an eye out on the dam cam as well. Maybe they pop down there as the morning progresses, and then you can let me know. And if you do spot anything, or if you have seen something on the dam cam throughout the evening, hashtag Safari Live with all that information. It would be greatly appreciated for our search for it this morning. Sure.
Oh dear, it seems poor Taylor is really being affected by the gremlins this morning. I hope Wendy doesn't decide to play up for TV this afternoon. Give her a smack, Taylor. Give her a smack with a big stick. Don't do that. The cars are very temperamental. They'll be very upset. Craig, I'm glad that you responded. Craig is live. Craig says he believes now and doesn't know what else to say. Thanks, Craig. Hopefully we can find you something really exciting on this live safari. I tried to set up the green screen, but I left it at home today. So we'll try and find you something exciting. A lion, perhaps, that roared all night and had now gone silent and have vanished off somewhere. Now, yesterday, I went out on tracking team yesterday morning to give Taylor and Tristan a chance to do one last rehearsal. Now, I went out on tracking team. This is either the world's biggest hyena or a lion walked down this road. Odd tracks. What's going on here? It's a lion. It's a running lion. Why were you running? Let me show you what I mean. Hold on. Why were you jogging down the road? Look here. There we go. If we have a look at these tracks here, you can see they're not the normal... let me jump off and show you exactly what I mean. That's some vehicle tracks over there. Beautiful. Okay, fair enough. They are difficult to spot because they're weird looking. This is a lion track here. Now, usually we see, because lions are quite heavy cats, they actually leave behind quite clear tracks. There we go, Craig. But this is not a clear track at all. This is a scuffed track. And the distance between this track, sure. Between this track and the next track, this lion was sprinting. Look at this. Foot fell there. And then the next footprint is over here. You can see how scuffed it is. These are the toes over here. What were you running about? There's the other foot. Very difficult to see in this light. What were you running for? Could have been hunting. Could have been responding to another lion. And very splayed. And what I mean by that is the lion hit the ground hard as it ran. His toes are spread out quite far. Okay, let's go see if we can figure it out. Maybe we're going to find a lion killed just down the road. Could be a couple of reasons. It's a male lion, so it was jogging for other lions. Oh, somebody's just picked up the tracks ahead of me, I think. Jogging for other lions. Jogging to get to a kill, jogging to catch something. I'm going to figure it out, or try to. However, there is one person who is an expert at solving all sorts of puzzles, and he hasn't yet said good morning.
Good morning, and welcome to the Bushwalk. It's myself, Stef, and we have Tchagra on camera today, and looking forward to a fantastic morning. And the whole night has been filled with sounds. We've heard some elephant around camp, we've heard some lion around camp, and that's been a change from the last couple of days, which have been deadly quiet and worrying, as you can imagine, from an animal point of view. But it looks like everything's come back, and now it's just a matter of trying to find them all. And that's what we're going to try and do this morning, is to try and sort of aid whatever we can, or whatever efforts we can, in order to expose what's been happening around here the night before. But something that struck me this morning from the word go is the fact that as it's starting to get light, it's still that sort of dawn twilight. The sun hasn't really risen yet. We've got this grey colour in the bush, this grey-green colour going up, and then the brilliant moon, which is at the moment waning and getting smaller, and also setting 40 minutes later every single day from when it was a full moon. Just have a look at that brilliant color. That, of course, brilliant white reflection from the sun off of its surface is due to the fact that the rain over the weekend has washed away all the dust and the particulates in the atmosphere, just giving us this really awesome bright white moon. It must have been very light out here last night. And by that I mean, at that size moon, it's it's light enough for you to actually walk around out here in the dark and to be able to see what you're doing. It sheds the most unbelievable light. A couple of weeks back we were doing some tests with some new cameras, and these cameras allow us to see at night time a little bit better than what other cameras have ever. And what struck me as absolutely awesome was the fact that on quarantine clearings, we know that animals come onto quarantine clearings at night time because we see their tracks, but we also see them in the early morning. In particular, that large herd of quite relaxed Impala and those zebra that were there, and the Wildebeest. And you always expect that these animals would corral together and sleep, but they didn't. We were able to watch these animals for most of the night, and they were moving around. And I can only imagine that with a bright moon like this, that during the evenings the animals move around over the entire expanse of the Kruger National Park. And it would make hunting, I suppose, a little bit more difficult for the predators. They have got an advantage. Bigger eyes, the physiology of the eyes are a little bit different and allow them to see a little bit better at night time. But I still think it would be quite tough for a lion to hunt at night time on a full moon like it is now, or a relatively full moon like it is now. It's quite cold this morning. You can see I got my jersey on, Jean-Andre's got his jacket on. There's a lot of condensation in the air. You can see me blow out some breath. You can see the breath coming out. Steam. That's an unusual thing for the Kruger National Park in May, to be quite honest. Like, now, Mole, you've asked how cold it gets in winter here. It doesn't ever get to freezing. It gets close to freezing, probably 1 or 2 degrees off of freezing. That's the coldest that I've ever been here. I once saw snow on the Drakensberg many years ago. It was one winter's morning that I saw snow. Was it enough to chase us into long pants? No. We still wore shorts that day, just piling on more and more jackets on the top. Just sort of I suppose the chicken theory that doesn't really matter how skinny your legs are, that you don't need to cover them, you just need more and more feathers on the top. Right, we're going to walk across quarantine. We're going to see if we can find where those lions went last night. We're going to send you over to Taylor, who's got a kudu.
We had an entire family of kudu. They have since left us, but we've still got one on the right hand side who is deciding if he's going to perform the same moves as the rest of the kudu family, and I can hear them now darting off into the distance through the thicket. And you can see he's paying attention to their movements. I don't think he can see them, but he can definitely hear and smell them. And there is another big bull with this family of kudu already. He doesn't look particularly big. He's got a beautiful set of horns on him, this feather. Feather. He's not a feather. I meant to say fella. However, when he comes out, so camouflaged behind there, you'll see he doesn't have very much muscle. So I can't believe that the girls are putting up with him, because there are some massive kudu bulls at the moment. You can just see a bit of movement that are almost double the size and sort of body mass. And of course, everything out here in nature is exceptionally harsh, and the females only want the best genetics for their potential offspring. They want them to have the best chance of survival. If they're going to be boys, they must be blessed with the biggest horns, the biggest muscles, and all those types of things. He just stopped for a little feed. I can't see. Look at them. It's amazing how they just disappear behind a very small shrub. That's not particularly big. It's a bush willow of some kind, maybe a variable bush willow. You can just sort of see his legs. And I love this. I think especially at this time of the year, we really are able to demonstrate how effective camouflage is with the animals. Stripes, different colors, spots. It is incredible. In winter, I think they blend in a little bit better, just because everything around them seems to be sort of shades of brown. But with all the leaves that we've got on the trees and the grass, it sort of covers your knees. I should have carried on with that, hey? Sometimes I do these random rhymes and I don't know how I get them right. But with all of that extra vegetation, it does help quite a bit. And all the birds are just starting to wake up too. You can hear some hornbills in the distance. Now, Lunar Child, you said that you love the stripes, I think you said, on all these animals. My favorite, I love the kudu. Kudu are probably one of my markings, not just stripes, but of course yes, the stripes are markings. So all the markings on these animals are absolutely beautiful, but they're very important. The babblers have just woken up too. They're starting to shout about next to us now. Yes, come on boy. He keeps walking away, then coming back towards us. He's back at the same tree. He's going to take a few steps further this time. Perhaps he's feeling a little bit braver. Maybe he's trying to size his opponent up from a distance. Now, you won't be able to see it, but on the other side of the road, the other kudu is staring towards him. Now, like with most of the antelope, they don't just want to fight, because fighting means that you could potentially injure yourself, which means that you could get eaten by something or you could die of an injury. So we see it a lot with Nyala, how they sort of do a dominance display, and Kudu do something fairly similar. They size each other up. If they're an equal match, then perhaps they will go clashing horns. I don't think I've ever seen an intense Kudu fight before. Wow. Well, as he disappears, and I come out from the depths of underneath the car. I was all hunched over. Yes, we're going to go across to Stef now. The sun has also finally peered over the horizon, so let's go take a look.
It's always nice to share a sunrise, I must be honest. It's always nice to share a sunrise and a kudu. So from your perspective, you've had a brilliant couple of minutes. And as you can see, just as the moon, that bright white moon, showed us that the sun has come up in this brilliant white star of a disk. You can't even look at it anymore. So the atmosphere really scrubbed clean this morning and giving us this beautiful sunrise. Just a herald to another fantastic day. Clouds have pretty much all moved off during the evening. Not so much as a breath of air at surface level to tell us why they've moved or where they've gone. And right now, where we're standing, it's just so peaceful. We've got some elephant making a noise behind you, and we're going to be looking for them in the next couple of minutes and seeing what they're up to. We've got some crowned lapwings that have been flapping around us since the sun came up. Beautiful sunrise this morning, and off in the distance, way in the distance, a Crested Franklin chorusing the dawn, which is, of course, my favorite bird call of them all, and something I missed. I'm just listening now. Something I miss while I've been in Kenya for the last couple of weeks is the Crested Franklin. I haven't really got a favorite bird there just yet. There's lots of birds there, but none that really have any nostalgic ties to my interpretation of the bush. Hornbill calling off on that side. It's just a nice peaceful morning this morning. I'd say it was quite nice actually. Rishi, you just wanted to know if the animal's behavior is different in the Mara. That's a good question, Rishi, because I suppose in a way that their behavior towards one another is not as different as it would be here. I don't think that a lion instills or endears itself to its prey any more there than what it does here, but the reaction that animals have to people is quite different. The Maasai, which is the local tribe there, as opposed to the Shangaan, which is the local tribe here, they are pastoralists. They own cattle, sheep and goats, and that is where they get all their protein from, and they trade protein. They trade their cattle and their goats and their sheep for money, which they then buy food with, or they barter for food with, so vegetables and etc, etc. They don't actually hunt the animals in the area that they live. So where they live, and that is opposed to any other African tribe I've ever had anything to deal with, where the Africans in that area physically hunt the animals that live with them for protein and trade in their cattle. In the Maasai, so just to make my point without wanting to ramble on, the animals live in a type of harmony with the Maasai there. Not lions, so anything that threatens the security of their cattle is very scared of a Maasai. But things like zebra and wildebeest and eland and topi and all the animals that you've been seeing with Brent over the last couple of days, they all sort of live right up against the people's houses. I mean, it's not uncommon to wake up and have 40 giraffe feeding over your room, or 100 zebra that you go for a walk through, and they're right close to us, as close as what you are to me right now. You're walking through these herds of animals, and in that's probably the most bizarre behavior that I've seen there, is what happens when people and animals live in a type of harmony with one another. And yeah, I suppose that's about the only behavioral difference that I could have seen, or have seen at least anyway. I've only been there a very short time, so of course I'm still busy learning about everything over there, and will carry on learning there for many, many years to come, I think. It's not something that your observations take many years to click in. Sometimes you realize you've been looking at something for a long time before you even realize that you've seen it. Let's see what's happened over here. This is quite an interesting track. So this is a male wildebeest. This is his patch, and he lay down here last night. But what I do want to show you, which is quite rare to see, well, not rare to see, but it's not always that apparent, is this marking right here. So for those of you who enjoy track and sign, take a screenshot of this, and I'm going to point out some noticeable indentations. This indentation here, and of course the wildebeest track over here, which will identify it for you. And now I'm going to tell you what you're looking at. So that's the wildebeest track. This is where his belly was last night. That's that big flat patch. And this is where his knee was. So this is the wildebeest's knee. So his head was where I'm standing now. He went down on his knees, and this is the ruminating posture that he would have been lying in to ruminate. So if you think about a cow or a sheep close to your home that you've seen lying down but not flat, chewing the cud, that is exactly what this wildebeest did. And that indentation is from his elbow as he dug it into the ground when he stood up to move off away from this particular patch. So that is the sign of the ruminating posture of a male wildebeest, to give your photograph a title. Alright, we're going to just crest over the top of the crest here, go and find out where Herbie is, and see what's happening to those elephant, and hopefully catch up with you a little bit. We're going to send you over to, I think, Jamie, who's busy tracking those lion.
Yes, Jamie. Well done, Stef. It is indeed me, and the tracks have led to Arathusa and somewhere in this general direction. Now, I've lost them for now, but he's walked all the way through and along in this... Oh, by the way, he stopped running and started walking. Funny track, though. I wonder if he doesn't have a limp. I know Mfumo, last time I saw him, had a bit of a... He had a bit of a swollen leg. He was favouring one more than the other. Mfumo is one of our dominant male lions in this area, one of the Birmingham boys. I wonder, might be a male lion with a limp. We'll see. If we find him now, we'll be able to see whether or not I was right from the track. It wasn't a drag, it was just a slight scuffing to the track. We'll see, he might just have been walking lazily. So now, where has he gone from here? Because these tracks have vanished, which is disappointing. It'd be very convenient if he would roar. The nice thing about winter is that the lions, the big cats in general, tend to be slightly more active because it's cooler. So it is easier in theory to find them, although their roars travel further. Sorry, just concentrating. I'm not looking at you at the moment. I just want to make sure I don't miss his tracks popping back onto this road. You're not meant to be going in that direction. This is very confusing. Okay. So a male lion walked along Gowrie Main to the west, a male lion walked along this road to the east. Could be two. Could easily be two. Oh, and the large circle with the quarry branch next to it over there is perhaps a giveaway that some trackers have already found these tracks, but they've left them for now. So that's been left there for other people to track them. It's a way of marking out tracks and signs. I think I know where to go. I think I know exactly where to go. Because these tracks don't come out there, and my line tracks don't come out there. Let me go and see if I'm correct, and while I do that, Stef has his first animal encounter on foot.
Quickly take a screen grab, but you can. Let's see if we can do it some more. For those of you who are quick on the draw there, you would have noticed that we're trying to get you a picture of those impalas' reflection of their eyes, which seems fairly common because we see it with the spotlight so often, but isn't with the sun. So let's see if we can get you another shot of that. But that's some impala that had shining eyes. And what's amazing about that is it gives us an indication, what actually shows us about how they are adapted to living in conditions where predators are prevalent at night. That's a layer of light reflective crystals on the back of the eyeball called the tapetum lucidum. And it is extremely rare for us to see that in the daytime. And so we're going to try and get you in front of these impala now. Let's see if the sun is still at that angle. And get ready. Let's see, the actual angle of the sun might be a little bit too high now for us to actually get it. But let's just see. We've actually got such a beautiful setting here. So we managed to find that wildebeest herd. It left its tracks on the sand, and we're not seeing any more reflections from the eyes. So we literally had 2 or 3 seconds there of us being able to get that very rare eye shine in the day with the sun actually causing that reflection. Just look at this. One would think that we're sitting in the Mara with Brent at the moment. It's probably the largest collection of wildebeest and zebra I've seen in months. And there in the brilliant morning sunlight, it's just such a very, very awesome picture. So they would have spent their night on these clearings, this clearing we call quarantine clearings close to the camp. And they do that because it's open, and they have got superior speed and endurance to a lion, and they would have clustered together using each other for comfort, security, and of course giving themselves the best opportunity to see predators from far away, and themselves the best opportunity to run away as quickly as they can. The wildebeest are now marching off. They will then go to areas of good grazing. So unlike the zebra, wildebeest actually need a very good quality grass. Rishi, you've just asked, do lions like zebra or buffalo for food? And it's a good question, Rishi, because generally lions hunt prey from 50 kilograms to 500 kilograms, sorry, 300 kilograms, 50 kilograms to 300 kilograms, which is about 100 pounds, just over 100 pounds to about 600 pounds or so. That is what they're designed to catch. So this would be their favorite food. Kudu, waterbuck, zebra, wildebeest. But you don't always find kudu, waterbuck, zebra and wildebeest in sufficient quantities all over. And so lions are adaptable. That's what makes them such a successful cat. With the exception of being able to deal with humans, but we'll get into that in a little bit. And so in areas where there's not a lot of medium-sized prey like this, lions will learn how to hunt whatever prey is most prevalent in that area. And if there's a lot of buffalo in that area, they'll learn how to hunt buffalo. And our resident Nkuhuma pride are a prime example of that. Last year, a lot of buffalo here, and they became supreme buffalo killers. Lion prides in the Chobe National Park, northern Botswana, have learned how to hunt elephant, because elephants are the most prevalent species of animal in that particular area, and if they didn't learn how to hunt elephant, they would die, they would starve to death. And so it just really depends on the area that those animals grow up in, with the exception that I think if you left a lion on its own and given any choice of animal to eat, it would eat a selection of what you're looking at right now. Wildebeest, zebra, kudu, waterbuck, sable, roan, baby giraffe, adolescent buffalo, that prey range. Wow, this is a nice scene. Really has been a special morning so far. Tracy, you've asked, could any of the antelope species interbreed, which is interesting, Tracy. Yes, but only if they are closely related to start with. So you do get a slight interbreeding between the different hartebeest species. You do get a slight interbreeding, I would imagine, between subspecies of the same sort of group. I know the different rhino subspecies can interbreed with one another. But in general, Tracy, no, you won't find a zebra being able to mate with a wildebeest any more than what a gorilla would be able to mate with a chimpanzee. It just doesn't fit their genetic code. They're not attracted to one another. They're not keyed to the pheromones that those animals of different species release. I suppose it goes down to what you're attracted to, you know. Yeah, I would say no. Just in general, I would say that while there is, from a subspecies point of view and related species, yes, but in general, you won't find different species, you know, doing that sort of thing. Right, now, it's given Jamie some time to, or we have given Jamie some time to carry on tracking with those lions. I'm sure she's dying to give you an update about what they've been doing. I'm going to send you over to her and carry on looking for those elephant.
I'm not sure what these lions have been doing. Apparently, I've been listening to the Game Drive radio, and the lions have been wandering about all over the place. And that combined with the calling last night, I wonder what's got them on edge. The road's pretty much vanished in front of us. Yeah, that's what happens when it's rainy. Alright, let's take this nice and slow. Hopefully we're not the ones to finish it off. Oh, hold on there, Craig. Trick with something like that is to go very, very slowly, but to keep constant power so that you don't slide your tires and make it even worse. Okay, so this male lion's tracks might have come out on this road. It's very damp and very hard. We're right in a steep line, so where all of the underground water flows, which means the soil stays very, very damp. And I can't see any tracks. But the guys are tracking lion tracks going up and down the western boundary of Arathusa. And now we've got to figure out what was going on. I think, so I had a bright idea about where to go, but the lions were not there. I think, let's go, I don't know where to go. Now I'm going to have to guess. So one lion was going this way, one lion was going this way. Oh, wait. Oh, no, that's a hyena. Rookie error. Not a lion, a hyena. There's some hyenas out in this place that have tracks that are almost the same size as a lioness. Okay. There were a couple of vultures sitting in trees, not far from where I had the first set of lion tracks, but it didn't look like they were looking at anything in particular. I think they're just warming up after yesterday's cold and rainy weather, waiting for the ground to heat up so that they can start thermaling. Alright, oh, Hoopoe and Hornbill. Look how cold that Hornbill looks. Brrr. Are you a bit chilly? Hop, hop, hop. Very cold little Hornbill. Bird feeding party. Can hear the Francolins chirping happily away. All of the birds fluffed up on this cold start to our morning. My hoopoe's disappeared though. Chin spot Battuses somewhere here. and a Tchagra. Let's see if I can find the Tchagra. There's the Tchagra. Oh. Come on, Tchagra. There's the Tchagra. Can you see it over there, Craig? On that. There we go. Well done. Which one is that? It sounded. Oh, brown crown Tchagra. Lovely. Definitely one of my favorite bird calls. I heard a black crown Tchagra, interestingly enough. Right, well, we're coming up to a short and somewhat imaginary break, but it's good that we practice because I fluffed my last ad break. So don't go anywhere, don't leave your seats. We're hot on the track of fresh lions. Fresh lions? We might find them any moment now. Fresh lions. See, that's the kind of stuff that comes out of my mouth when it's TV, and it's... You just have to... the words come out of your mouth and you're wondering where your brain was at the time. Or your brain just works that little bit too fast for your mouth to keep up, and then you're done, and you're finished. And the worst... I was trying to say fresh lion tracks. We're hot on fresh lion tracks. But we're hot on fresh lions. Doesn't sound quite the same, does it? It doesn't have quite the same ring to it. Okay, so obviously we're practicing ad breaks for TV, everybody. So you're not going anywhere. I'm always so relieved when we go back into internet. It's just a sort of a whew. Now, nerdy zombie, with all of the noise and tracks of running lions, you want to know if there could possibly be a lion takeover. Anything's possible, but it's highly, highly unlikely. The strongest contenders, obviously the Birmingham boys are very dominant, and they have the advantage of youth and numbers on their side. They're still youngish lions, and there's 4 of them. There were 5 of them. The Majingilans are aging. They're still a dominant force. That's another coalition that's quite dominant. But I haven't heard any reports of them coming in this direction. I haven't heard any... We do have a WhatsApp group that allows us to kind of keep track of where the various lion prides and coalitions are. And nobody's mentioned anything about other coalitions moving in this direction. You do occasionally get completely unexpected males coming in from... I mean, bear in mind, a lion can disperse, like the Birmingham boys did, for hundreds of kilometers from their natal home range, so where they were born, where they grew up with their pride. So it's always possible that another group of lions have come in, but I think it's highly, highly unlikely. I don't know what got them so upset, though. If something got them so upset. Might just have been they made a kill somewhere and they were feeling a bit hungry. These are all mysteries that are just waiting to unfold. I've found the lion tracks again, everybody. I'm going to follow them. Let's go across to Taylor with a bird.
Go, Jamie, go. Catch those lions. Not catch them, but find them. My goodness. Yes, my brain seems to be a little bit frozen this morning, as are these Crested Franklins. You can see there's a whole family of them. They are very, very, very freezing. They're fluffed up. They don't even want to stick their necks out this morning. They keep sort of hiding them in between their feathers. Hello, guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them walking straight towards the car. Now, that's unusual because normally they run away when they see us, but perhaps because we stopped from a distance, they might walk right past us. Let's test this theory out. Now, I don't know if these are maybe chicks that have already grown up, because we did start to see some of the Crested Franklins having chicks quite a while ago, and we've sort of seen another boom. And the other day down on Cheetah Plains, because that's where we are now, we actually saw a few youngsters, little ones that only look like a week old or so. But these guys definitely look like they're on their way to adults. Hello? You guys coming right up here. This is so cool. They must be about a meter away from the car, 3 feet or so away from the car. So that's not particularly far. Are you going to be brave enough? Are you going to come past? I'm just going to sit here. And we're just going to wait. I'm actually going to carry on talking. I'm not going to just be quiet. And as you can see, they're not really responding to my voice at the moment. You can see the front of the car just popping into frame. Hello, guys. Now, Dina, You're wondering if those legs are pink. They are indeed. And if we look very carefully, you can see why they're not spur files, is because they don't have two sets of spurs. Should we try and find a boy? Normally you can see the spurs quite nicely. David? Yes, there we go. There. Spot on. So the males have got a set of spurs. You can see them there. They're exceptionally sharp, just like a chicken has. But the Crested Franklins, or just the Franklins in general, and the reason why they got separated from the spur files is because they've only got one pair of spurs, whereas the spur files have got a double set of spurs, so you don't want to mess with a male. So the girls don't have them, or they've got very, very underdeveloped ones. You can barely see them in some cases. But the boys, you can see, are nice and sharp. Hey, maybe they're coming closer to get nice and warm. Look how fluffy they are. Now, dear watcher, you're wondering if these birds are the same as quails. No, not quite. They're in a different family. They're much larger than quails. Or we get different types of quails out here. And we are, of course, practicing ad breaks. We've got our final Mother's Day special, so I'm going to sit quietly for the next 10 seconds as I welcome us back from a pretend ad break. Welcome back to your live and interactive safari. We are sitting here with a family of Crested Franklins, and well, we're just watching what they get up to for the morning. Not very much just yet. It's a little bit cold, and I think, like us, they're waiting for the sun to illuminate the ground so that they can, of course, thaw out. There we go. And now, as I said, that they've all now disappeared. Where did you go? Are they on the other side of the car? They just disappeared. They obviously, it was a bit embarrassing, you know. Hopefully you all enjoyed me welcoming you back from the pretend ad break, but apparently the birds didn't appreciate it very much. I think because I took the attention away from them and drew it back to myself. Sorry, birds, but thank you for being so lovely and coming so close to cars. That was quite nice. It's not all every day. And Crested Franklins that close in front of your car without panicking is really quite nice. And it just shows you the more and more that we're driving around and we're interacting with these animals in a positive manner, and that they'll just walk up and right past you, which is really, really amazing. But what we're doing now is we're heading along sort of the eastern boundary. We're going to go all the way down towards Buff Pan, and we'll check around there. And then from there we'll probably go all the way south towards the big open plains. There's just some tracks here. Someone's already driven here this morning, so I think it could have just been hyena tracks that were on the ground. They didn't look particularly round. And that's another thing, when you are driving, obviously you're trying to spot tracks, and it can be a little bit on the difficult side. But just a tip, because you can see everything in front of you, and from a distance that's normally how we spot them, rather than just looking on the side. We'll triple check, we'll pull the car over and look closer. But cat tracks tend to be quite rounded, whereas the dog tracks from wild dogs, or then from hyena tracks, slightly different. A little bit longer, not quite rectangular, but you can also see their claw marks quite clearly in the sand as well, and you won't see that with lion or leopard tracks unless they're perhaps running and for some reason a claw is popped out here and there. Then that's the only time, but very, very unusual to see something like that. Or if it's a cheetah, of course, because they can't draw their claws back like the other cats. They're permanently out, but they need them. Slightly different hunting techniques when you need to run very fast. You've of course got to have a bit of traction, and having your claws out definitely helps that. We see it all the time with the dogs, of course. Let's see what else we can find. Now, Augustia, you're wondering what is the difference between a male and a female lion track. If we find some tracks, I'll definitely point it out to you, but I'll explain it as we drive along. So, male lion tracks are quite large. They're almost the size of, I'd say, they're almost the size of my hand. I haven't got particularly big hands. And their tracks are a lot wider. Well, they're the same width as they are the same length, sorry, for a male lion track. So they're quite a square. They're pretty much perfect, but round at the same time. Hang on, who have we got here? Oh no, these are old tracks. No, I don't even know what those were. Those very old tracks. And then a female lion track is a lot longer than it is wide. But again, you get young male lions, you get young female lions, and this just takes a little bit of practice. You'll probably get caught out and make a few mistakes here and there, but the more often that you start looking at these tracks and spend time with somebody who does know, it's a lot easier. So it is a bit difficult to explain to you and show you when I don't have any tracks in front of me, but perhaps if Jamie finds something, as though she's on the heels of some lions, and hopefully she gets there. Track looks like. But there's potentially lions around here too. There could be lions anywhere on these properties. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to keep going towards Buff Pan. I'm going to send you back on board with Jamie, like I said, who's hot on the heels of potentially some lions.
Hot on fresh lions. I was hot on fresh lion tracks. I've moved a little bit further past them and they've just disappeared off into a block. So I can't show you at the moment. I promise you if I find them again, I'll show you exactly the difference between male and female lion tracks. I'll even draw a female track, or what a female track looks like inside the males, so you get an idea of a perspective of size. That, of course, is provided I can find another lion track. There's several of us working around this area trying to pick up on where this male lion's gone. He is heading straight north towards Simbambili, which isn't ideal, because of course we can't drive there, but let's not give up hope just yet. He could still pop out at any moment. I think I'm going to go and check Red Dam. That's what I'm going to do, and see if maybe he's somewhere around there. Or two he's. I keep tracking one lion at a time, but it seems so peculiar that the two of them were sort of converging, unless it was the two Birmingham boys meeting up together. Good morning to Tina. Tina, you would like to know, how fast do we drive when looking for tracks and for animals? Very slowly. Already driven here, so I know they've already checked this area, or in theory, because there's the lion tracks. Okay, Tina, hold that thought. I want to try and show you a lion track and a female lion track together. These are nice tracks. Oh, lovely, beautiful. There we go. Right, Tina, I'll finish that question in a sec. Let me just do this. Let me just finish off the question about female and male lion tracks. And I think the best one, again with the scuffy front paw. Do you see what I mean? Let me show you. Look how neat this back track is. This is the back foot of the lion. Oh, it's ground hornbills. This is the back track of the lion. This track is in exactly the same kind of sand. It should be just as neat. And it was his right foot that's been a bit... It's almost like he's... When it bears weight, he's twisting slightly when he steps on it, and scuffing it and not making it particularly clear. Don't know why that is. I think it is an injury. We'll see. We'll see if we catch up with him. Right, so talking about the difference between lioness tracks and male lion tracks, his front track's not very clear, but a back track of a lioness, if I draw inside of his, would probably be... They've got slightly more elongated feet, but that would be... The toes are not nearly as large, they're not nearly as spread out, and they're a little bit smaller. That didn't come out as clearly as I would like. But there is a significant size difference between the track of a male lion and the track of a female. And in particular, I find that the male lion's toes are much larger and much more spread out. And they're obviously supporting far more weight. And the rest of them aren't very clear. But we're on this lion's track still, which is a good thing. So now we get to the answer to Tina's question, which is how fast do we drive? Now I'm going to drive quite fast, because one of the tricks to when you're tracking is to be looking quite far ahead of where you know, where you are, and the track and the soil is very clear. So I can see far, I can see those lion tracks are still at that corner there from where I am at the moment. So I'm going to skip ahead, and you just jump as much as you can. If you start to see you're getting to a really tricky spot, then you slow down. And sometimes you idle in first gear, sometimes you get out and walk. I'm going to search for this lion. I'm going to continue. I'm determined to find him. Let's go across to Stef, who is still looking for Wildebeest.
Well, we were actually still looking for those elephant, but we've managed to get stuck in the middle of this herd of wildebeest and zebra. And while we are able to be with them, why not, is the question that we have at the time. It's just so nice to share this with you, and the vista is so awesome. And so we thought that we'd just, you know, share the moment, I suppose, for lack of a better word. We've got those zebra, they've moved around us now, probably in about a 180, and then coming out, another one there, and then that herd of wildebeest that we have in the distance standing underneath the trees. Those are some of the wildebeest from last year, but let's quickly send you over to Taylor, who's got a really nice kudu sighting, and we'll wait here for you.
We do have a nice kudu, but he's starting to hide away from us. He's standing on the top of a termite mound. Come on, boy, don't do this to us now. It was so beautiful because he had his head out just where we could see him, but now he's taken a couple of steps forward. You can see he's feeding at the moment. Ah, okay. Well, let's go forward and see if we can get another view of him. It was beautiful as well. The light was... I'm going to go forward. The light was just catching all the dew that was on his horns. That's quite funny, actually. Look how he's hiding. That's so cool. I don't think I've ever had a view of a kudu like this before, with just ears and horns. It's okay, big boy. Now he's shuffling around. I think he's just trying to get a better view of us. Isn't that lovely? And this is a big kudu. You can see straight away. Look how his neck is absolutely bulging. It's filled with muscles. He's in much better condition than the other bulls that we saw earlier this morning. Much fitter. But they come up to the termite mounds like this, and we see it, and you will be seeing it a lot more while you're in Kenya too. There's animals going up into trees. Obviously a kudu is not going to climb a tree, but here they utilize termite mounds so that they can see their surroundings a little bit easier. With all of the long grass and all the thick trees, it does make it difficult for them too to try and spot potential predators that could be lurking about. So it's very important, these vantage points. Let me go forward again, Darby. Maybe we can look back onto him. Hello, boy, and we'll see him now. This will be good. Hello, beautiful. It's okay. Oh, wow. How gorgeous is he? This is absolutely incredible. Now, most of his attention is actually focused on us. You can see he's using both ears to listen, though his left ear is moving slightly, just listening to what was going on behind him. I promise we're not going to eat you. We're just here to look at you. I don't blame these animals for being so cautious, though. It's important that they do live on, well, the nervous side of life, because I think if you become too complacent out here, that's when accidents can happen. Off he goes. Ah, beautiful. How cool is that? That was amazing. We're just going to show you kudus today. Hey, David, all the kudu of the Sabi sand. Now, Chris, you were wondering if that hump on their back is to store water or if it's just muscle. It's mainly muscle. It's like a wither in a horse, so it's actually a bone that you're seeing there. But with the males, because they do start to put on, in this time of the year, they put on a lot of condition. You saw the muscles bulging from his neck, then they will bulge on the shoulders as well, right down to the hindquarters. So that's all that is. It's not for fat or anything along those lines, or water. You'd even call it a wither too. That was really, really nice. Thank you, kudu. I think we must just take what we can get with a kudu today. Perhaps we will have the best kudu sightings we've ever had. That was pretty good, hey David? Yeah. Quite nice, eh? We're going to send you back across now to Djuma and the big wide plains of quarantine with Stef and his, animal friends.
It's nice when you have kudu like that. You know, they sometimes you have kudu and sometimes you don't, and when they do something spectacular like you've just seen now, why not share it? We've got a similar scene here with the light and the zebra and sunrise and what feels like a pretty wintry morning, and it just is very nice. The general game this morning has been something spectacular, and just have a look at that picture that you've got there for yourself. Jean doing a fantastic job of making sure that you get the best of it. Wow, really, really nice. And with the grass still standing and with the leaves still a bit green, it's just, there couldn't be a better description of May that I could show you today than what you're looking at right now. Slight chill to the morning, a little bit of dew in the air, some clouds, blue sky, and then this browny grass that's coming out with these plains of animals. That is May for you in a nutshell, and why it is one of my favorite months of the year. As these zebra and wildebeest are moving through the grass right now, they're starting to let the grass go flat. The grass is not standing up again, and that's going to be common now from now until the end of November, when the rains rejuvenate and revitalize the grass. So from now the grass starts to lie flat and will eventually disappear altogether as we go back into October. James, you've asked me, do migratory wildebeest use their glands to mark territory? Yes, James, they absolutely do. But for the rest of the viewers, I just want to explain James's comment on migratory wildebeest. You get two different types of wildebeest. You get the brindled gnu. This is the one that we have in the Kruger National Park in South Africa. That does not have a white beard. That has got a dark beard. And then you get its cousin, the white-throated gnu, which is the one that we find in Kenya and Tanzania, the Serengeti, which migrates from the Serengeti National Park's volcanic grasslands to the Masai Mara's riverine bushland seasonally. They are migratory. These are not. These are sedentary. Although they will have seasonal movements from areas of good grazing to areas of marginal or even bad grazing around watering points, they do not migrate seasonally or on an annual basis, if I could call it that way. So these ones are sedentary in this particular area. They do not move. But yes, in terms of your question, because they do mark territory. So in the rutting season for the wildebeest, males will set up territories. They use a gland that is located between the toes, the two toes or the two hooves of their front foot, to paw at the ground. They then roll in that glandular secretion, standing up, and the wind then carries the smell of their glandular secretion from their toes into the herd. And that way females are able to judge, I suppose, virility, for lack of a better word, of the wildebeest in that particular area, and they will cut themselves out a harem of females, which is precisely what this male wildebeest has done, and therefore making sure that he has some females to mate with when they come into estrus. And so that's how the cycle goes. But a nice question there, James. You know, and just to reiterate the point that although wildebeest in the Kruger National Park have exhibited some migratory aspects, they are sedentary. They don't move around as much. Whereas the white-throated gnu, the one that you're going to be seeing in shows to come, and what we're waiting for with much anticipation, is the white-throated gnu. With a white beard, just a cousin of these particular ones, nothing more than that, and they move those vast distances from the southern Tanzania, well, south central Tanzania, all the way into the Masai Mara in southern Kenya. These are the bigger of the two species, or the two cousins at least anyway. A big male brindled gnu on this side will top the scales at about 500 pounds, whereas the white-throated gnu is slightly less than that. Let's see if we can show you this male actually. Let's tiptoe up to this area. Sorry, Jean. reversing Genre and you into the grass. Let's see if we can show you this big bull wildebeest here. Violet, you've asked me a nice question this morning. Are wildebeest horns made of ivory? Let me first just point you in the direction of that big male wildebeest there, and as Genre takes you closer to him and you marvel at how pretty he actually is, I can also answer the question there for you, Violet. The horns are not made of ivory. Ivory by definition is tooth enamel, whereas the horns that you're looking at on top of the head of this wildebeest are keratin, which is a type of hair. So keratin is what your fingernail and your hair on your head is made of. That is what you're looking at there now. Whereas ivory is tooth enamel. So if you take your fingernail and you tap your teeth, that clinkiness, I suppose, is what ivory is. So this is ivory. Although not mine, some of mine are not ivory anymore. Ivory, these side ones, and keratin. So that's a wildebeest horn. This is an elephant tusk or a hippo tooth, for lack of a better description. I suppose the only two worthwhile ivories. Rhino horn, keratin, very similar to that. Buffalo, keratin, and in North America or other parts of the world where you have antelope, their horns and their antlers are all keratin, a type of fingernail, or the same compound that your fingernails are made of. So hopefully that answered your question there. Just have a look at how close we stand into the zebra. We've now been here for probably going on 45 minutes, maybe even an hour, and these zebra and wildebeest are very comfortable with us at a 50 meters or so away from where we're standing. Look at those tails. Now that's interesting. They were not wagging their tails like that 5 minutes ago, and now they've started. And that will be incessant from now until tonight when the sun goes down. That's quite interesting. I've actually never noticed that before. Well, was I missing it before? Were they waving their tails before? I don't think they were. That is interesting. I have never made that observation before. Obviously, zebra wave their tails all day and they won't stop waving their tails. The fact that they only seem to have started waving their tails in the last couple of minutes is interesting. Why? I don't know. I mean, it's not because the fly activity has all of a sudden started. I'm not being plagued by flies at all just yet. It will come though, but not just yet. Wow, I'm stumped. I don't know. Let's move across a little bit, if you don't mind. Let's go and see what they're doing. It's cold enough for our noses to start running, so if you'd excuse me just wiping my face every now and again. The moisture is coming out much. Here we go, we've got these now close to us. They stopped chewing what they were chewing. No, gone back to chewing, so we still, even though we've come closer by 15 yards or so, they're still very comfortable with us. And then the wildebeest on that side. Herd size is increased. Oh, and far in the distance there's some impala there as well. The edge of the clearing. A little bit tough for Genre to get. Of course, that would be at the extreme range of the camera's ability, and he hasn't got a tripod. He's basically just holding this camera up with muscle power. Augustia, I've just been asked a question about wildebeest and females. I'm just going to ask Kirsty if she wouldn't mind repeating it again. I didn't quite get the middle part of the question. Oh, how do the males impress the females, Augustia? That's a good question. They impress them with body condition, firstly. So a male wildebeest will look after himself by making sure he gets enough food and enough exercise. It's not a cognizant thing. This they do it's a subconscious action for them. So they make sure that they get the best grass, and they make sure that they get the best exercise in the best areas. The biggest, strongest, cleverest wildebeest will hold the biggest territories. And so female wildebeest will move through an area. They will naturally go to the areas of better grass and better grazing, and there they will find the males that have outcompeted other males for that area, and will be holding sway over the best resources. And in a way, the fact that I'm holding the best patch of ground, this is the best grass, look at me, would show to those females that this male wildebeest is impressive. But it's not something, it's not a cognizant action, if I could put it to you that way. Sorry, there's just some alarm calls going on the other side, although I think it was one of them coughing. So it's not a cognizant thing, it's just the natural order of the way that the best genes in that wildebeest herd at that particular time of year will have the best areas. And then of course that wildebeest's ability to keep his harem together. So that's where the brains come in, for lack of a better description, is his ability not only in being able to hold off other males and to secure an area specifically for himself, but also in his ability to make sure that his females don't go anywhere else, and he corrals them together and he herds them together. And the best wildebeest will have the biggest harems in the best areas, and then it will be on a sliding scale from there. So the wildebeest that stands alone in a very, very poor area, he's not going to get any females, and so he won't pass his genes over to the next herd, or to the next generation. Hope that answered your question there. Anyway, why don't we send you over to Jamie, who's still busy tracking those lions for an update.
These lions are confusing me. I've got tracks up and down, I've got female, I've got male, and wild dog, just to throw one extra additional factor into the mix. I already know where the wild dog are. They've crossed already into Kruger, so they've moved incredibly quickly. But let me find you a nice clear example, and then you can do a nice size comparison between wild dog and lion. Now I've got to find it again. Oh, tricky tracking today. Where did I see that dog track? I saw a dog track. Hold on. There we go. Okay. I'm going to have to jump out to show you this because it's going to be very, very hard for Craig to see. So, I think the mystery of the lions might be solved, and I'll have a chat to some of the other guides in a moment. I think they found them on Simbambili. We're very, very close to the boundary over here between Arathusa and Simbambili. So first of all, looks like a pair of lionesses, at least two, walked out over here. So there we go. We've got a nice size comparison. I don't know that you're going to see them terribly clearly, but these are the female tracks over here. I think there's two of them. There might even be more. I don't see any sign of cub tracks though, so if it is the Nkuhumas, it's not the females with the cubs, or the cubs aren't with them. So let's find that dog track again. It keeps disappearing every time I want to show it to you. Obviously it's not disappearing and I'm just not seeing it. That's not a clear example. Hold on, I have to go back to my perspective again. There it is. Dog track is here, and I'm going to draw the outline for you because it's very, very unclear in the sand. That's the back of the dog's foot, and these are its toes. Like most wild dogs, a slight fusion between the two middle toes. Can you see it there, Craig, or am I in your way? It's kind of invisible, but nice comparison for size. I'm going to shamelessly steal Tristan's trick. So length of this dog track is about this long, width is about this long. Okay, that's a wild dog. Let's take the clearest lioness track and let's try and keep it fair. Let's try and keep it in a similar type of soil. And let's take a front track as an example. So full length I need a thicker blade of grass. You will do. Sorry. Well, that's useless. Hold on. There we go. This will be our lioness track. So there we go over there. Break that off, in theory. So actually, where you see the biggest difference in size is the width. So if I pop these on the front of the bonnet, the other way around, that is the size of the lioness track, and this is the size of the dog track. So what's interesting about that, that's wild dog over there, and that's lioness over there. What's interesting is the length is quite similar. Actually, the length is pretty close, although the lioness was kind of going downhill, so it's not the fairest representation. But the width is basically double. If I take the width of the dog track to the width of the lioness track, that's essentially double the width. So a much, much larger animal, which makes sense. I mean, a dog tops out at maybe 25 kilograms. If that. So around about 25 kilograms. I can hear vehicles over there. I'm going to get a bit closer. Lioness, 120 kilograms easily, 150 in the case of the heaviest ones. So that's 5 times bigger, at least, in terms of weight. But wild dogs, of course, have got their incredible stamina and speed, so their paws are geared towards increased traction. Okay, earpiece back in so I can hear your questions. So, male lion walked up and down here, females popped out. What on earth is going on with our lions, and where have they gone? They're all going straight towards Simbambili. I'm going to go search for them. Our violet, yes, wild dog tracks are very similar to domestic dogs. I would say they are slightly narrower. Oh, I suppose it depends on the size of the dog. My Weimaraner Lexi is not far off the size of a wild dog. She's a little bit bigger, but her tracks are broader. And you obviously don't get that fused toe. The two middle toes in wild dogs, most of them are partially fused. Not all of them, but most of them have a partially fused two middle toes. There is also one very important difference. Wild dogs have only 4 toes in the front foot. Domestic dogs have 5. Not that show in the track, but the 5th one sits up a little bit further up the hock, which wild dogs do not have, and it makes them one of the reasons why they're considered to be a distinct species. Oh my goodness, look at this. Look at this mess here. Not a mess. Can't call it a mess. The male walked on top of the females. Look here. Let me jump out again. The males walked on top of the females. The females are going this way. The male's track here falls on top. Oh, wet grass. That was an unpleasant surprise. Male track is on top of the females. The females are before the rain last night. They've been smudged a great deal by the rain. So the Inkahumas have made an appearance, I think. They've come back to us, or at least come back to being closer to where they were before. But this male's now walking on top in the opposite direction to them. Okay, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Whether it's by the end of the sunrise safari or whether it's by the sunset safari, we'll have an answer. I have no doubt. These male tracks are fresh. It's a pity we didn't start here. We would have found him. Now, Riti, no, wild dogs are unequivocally not more dangerous than lions. In fact, they are not really a danger to human beings at all. I don't think there's a single recorded case of wild dogs attacking humans. The only situation where they'd be a danger is if they had rabies. We've had some truly amazing moments on these live safaris. I know James has had an incredible time with wild dogs on foot, so has Stef. So have I, actually, just not while on bushwalk. They are fantastic animals. They don't attack people. They have a natural curiosity, but they're not going to attack you. And if you were to feel threatened, if you were to stand up and shout and run at them, not that you would do that, but they would run away. Lions, again, lions are not a huge danger to people. Yes, we go walking, yes, we track them, yes, we get growled at occasionally, but 99.9% of the time they're not going to attack you. But if they do, you're in trouble. Let's put it that way. Let's rephrase that slightly. You're in trouble if a lion does decide to attack you. And at night, wild dogs are sleeping. At night, lions do hunt people. They have the natural advantage. They have the instinct. And I read a book quite a while ago now about the huge number of unrecorded deaths of the poor Mozambican refugees trying to get through the Kruger Park to get into South Africa and away from the civil strife in Mozambique. And thousands of people have died that way and been eaten by lions that have then learned that this is the easiest source of prey that they can get. It's inevitable. When you've got people and lions interacting at night, people are going to die. Alison, who is aged 7. Alison, thank you for watching. Now, Addison, sorry Addison, sometimes the names don't come through so clearly, my apologies. 7-year-old Addison would like to know if wild dogs are related to wolves. They are indeed. They are related to wolves, and actually they have quite a similar way that they operate, and I'll explain to you what I mean by that. And actually I might even stop the vehicle to do so. So, wild dogs and wolves belong to the same family, just as your domestic dogs do, which is called the Canidae family. They're separate genuses because they are essentially, there's enough differences between them, and wild dogs have evolved here in Africa, wolves in other parts of the world, in Europe and in the North Americas, but they operate in a very similar way. Wolves are bigger, but you know how you have an alpha wolf, an alpha male and an alpha female? The same applies to wild dogs. They have an alpha male and an alpha female, and the whole pack works together just like wolves do to hunt, to look after the pups, all sorts of things. So there's lots of similarities, and that's one of the reasons why there's a big push to actually call wild dogs painted wolves, because they've got those beautiful splodges of color, so they look like they've been painted, and they're basically an African form of the wolf. And by calling them a wolf, the idea is to change people's perceptions so that they don't think of them as some kind of feral dog, a domestic dog, because they're not. They're something completely different. Addison, let's go find some lions, huh? Or hopefully. I'm a bit worried they're in Simbambili. But let's try. No wonder it was so noisy last night. We had a family reunion.